participants continues to increase. More people are joining us, but we'll get started because there's a lot of material that we want to cover. We're really, really excited to have you at Ashoka very soon. We are the Office of Academic Affairs, and you'll find out that we will be here with you through your entire time as a student at Ashoka. I'm Harini Narayanan. I'm Director of the Office of Academic Affairs, and I'd like to introduce to you Dean Bharat Ramaswamy, Dean of the Office of Academic Affairs, and Dean Ramaswamy will be giving you a flavor of what the office does and what you'll be doing at Ashoka. Over to you, Bharat. You're muted, I think.
Thank you, Hari. Thank you. So let me also add my welcome to all of you. Although you're not on campus yet, but your journey in Ashoka begins now. And we wanted to have this interaction with you before you come to campus. You will be coming to campus this weekend and next week. But the reason we wanted to meet you right now is that you need to start thinking about your first semester now. And we will be asking you for some information, and then we will be acting on that information so that everything is ready for you when you start classes on September 12th. So, so that's the reason why we are holding a session today and tomorrow. And indeed, tomorrow's session is vital, I would say, because that really gets into the nitty-gritties. And so think of both of these as part of your introduction to Ashoka and important steps here into your initiation into the Ashoka academics. I'm going to share my screen and my presentation here. I'll let you know what I'm going to be speaking about. So can you see my slides? Harini, can you see? Yeah, okay. So I'm going to provide a sort of an overview of what you should expect at Ashoka and some tips really for academics at Ashoka. I'm a professor of economics, and I'm also the Dean of Academic Affairs at Ashoka. And after I finish, Harini will take you through some more details about the program itself. So the first part of it is really going to be an overview, really sort of a bird's eye view of what we do before we jump into the details. So I think all of you, you have taken some considered decisions about which universities to go to, and you've come to Ashoka, which means that you are already have some information about, you've already done your research on what Ashoka is all about. So I'm going to give you my perspective on what Ashoka is about. And indeed, there may be many other perspectives out there. In fact, I'm going to present to you 3 or 4 different perspectives on what Ashoka is about. So it can't be summarized on one slide. And perhaps there are many ways of looking at Ashoka. So let me share that with you. So I think at one level, Ashoka is a multidisciplinary university. We have humanities, social sciences, and sciences. So we are not like a university dedicated only to the arts or only to technology and so on, but we span the entire range. I think an important aspect of Ashoka, which endows, which gives Ashoka its character, is that it really aspires to be interdisciplinary. So we think that that there is that there are lots of issues in the world that cannot be studied with the help of just one discipline alone. And so you need collaboration among disciplines. And we have centers in Ashoka that really take this very seriously. Like centers of translation, China studies, science policy, climate change, archaeology. So these are all collaborations between different disciplines. For instance, archaeology is a collaboration between history and biology. Why biology, you might ask? Because a lot of modern day archaeology is all about DNA fingerprinting and so on. But it is in the service of historical questions. Climate change is a very obvious collaboration between the sciences, the social sciences, and humanity. That we are looking at, Ashoka is looking at this as knowledge as being fundamentally interdisciplinary. And so it is, and that's what it strives to be. There is another way of looking at Ashoka, which is that what it stresses is the importance of critical thinking and reasoning, which is the foundation of all human knowledge. Of course, every discipline has its own problems or questions, and its own ways of thinking and reasoning. So that's something that we take very seriously. So that's why you are going to start off your journey here by doing foundation courses. And foundation courses are a manifestation of this principle, that while there are common foundations of all reasoning and thinking, it is to expose you to different ways of doing that. And what's common about it is that they all converge on some powerful skills, which is the ability to recognize assumptions in an argument, to question ideas productively, to be able to conceptualize, to evaluate and generate evidence, to argue from first principles. These are all common aspects of all our courses. And these are the skills that you will have at the end of an Ashoka education. So our idea is not to train you for a particular job, but to be able to train you in these skills, which will be useful in any conceivable enterprise that you may undertake. A third way of thinking of Ashoka is that it takes ideas very seriously, the Ashoka education. And here's a favorite quote of mine from John Maynard Keynes, who was one of the world's premier economists of the 20th century. In 1936, he wrote, "The ideas of economists and political philosophers, both when they are right and when they are wrong, are more powerful than is commonly understood." In fact, he goes on to say, "Indeed, the world is ruled by little else. Practical men who believe themselves to be quite exempt from any intellectual influence are usually the slaves of some defunct economist. Madmen in authority who hear voices in the air are distilling their frenzy from some academic scribbler of a few years back." So what Keynes is saying here is that really that even those who imagine themselves to be practical people, they subscribe to some theories coming from some years or decades ago. And Keynes concludes by saying, "I'm sure that the power of vested interest is vastly exaggerated compared with the gradual encroachment of ideas." Now, it's interesting that Keynes, who's an economist, who says this, because economics is actually a lot about the power of vested interests. And yet Keynes here, and vested interest I mean material interest. And Keynes here is saying that ideas are actually far more important. So here's a question for us. Are they really that important, though, as Keynes is claiming? And this is a question that you may well debate in some of your courses in philosophy, in politics, in economics, and other courses. So it's an instance of an argument, an idea, where it invites your opinion as well. But to get to that, you have to understand how to make arguments, how to reason, and so on. And what is the context in which you make these arguments. And so this is an instance of how we take ideas seriously. Finally, what's all Ashoka all about here is something of direct relevance to you. So stemming from the ideas that I've talked about, which is the fact that it's a interdisciplinary, multidisciplinary university, which takes ideas seriously. Here, students decide on their program of study. You have been admitted to Ashoka, not to any particular major. And the university encourages you to declare a major by the third term, but does not insist on it. So you have the time and space to decide what you want to do. And you can combine it with a minor and or a concentration of your choice. And you can change really your mind as often as you can wish. You can drop, add courses, you can audit courses if you wish, not take them for credit, or you can take them for a special type of credit, which you call pass-fail. If you fall sick on an exam day, you can ask for an incomplete and do it later. So Ashoka is also about this, that where a lot, it gives you control over your academic journey. So so ask, well, how could anything be better than this, right? Well, I have to say that notwithstanding all these good things, we are very much are bound by constraints of the real world. And one of the most important constraints is time. Your undergraduate course is 3 years, and you can do only so many courses in that time. So chopping and changing courses excessively, of course, may delay your graduation. You may take more than 3 years if you do so. And if you want to do double majors, that will be possible if you do 4 years, which we call the ASP year, rather than 3. Secondly, there are some mandatory requirements. For instance, foundation courses, because we believe in them. We believe that you should be exposed to different ways of critical thinking and reasoning, and that's going to stay with you long after you've left Ashoka. So it's an important, essential part of the Ashoka model of education. And furthermore, there are prereqs. So every discipline requires you to proceed in that discipline through a certain manner. So if you think that, hey, this sounds like an interesting course in international relations, you want to do it. But maybe that course requires you to do some more basic course before you start doing that. So there is a structure in which you have to do it. And then there are some instructor permissions for something, especially for course-related things. So you want to add courses after more than 2 weeks have passed, you have to ask the instructor. The incompletes that I've talked about, you have to ask the instructor and let them know why you couldn't do that exam and why you would like to incomplete and so on. So there is a structure within this overall framework of flexibility that you have to follow, and that's where the Office of Academic Affairs comes in. Because somebody has to keep track of what you're doing. Somebody has to make sure that your choices meet program requirements. Somebody has to make sure that all your choices, what courses you do, what courses you add, drop, withdraw, audit, etc., they're recorded. And finally, that somebody also has to make sure that you have enough credits to graduate at the end of 3 years. So that somebody is the Office of Academic Affairs, and it's known as the OAA. And the email address is simple, oaa@ashoka.edu.in. I am the dean, and my job is really to think more about the policy issues, but I also meet with students. And so my email ID is daa@ashoka.edu.in. Once the term starts, there'll be ways in which you can request appointments with the OAA. And I will also keep some office hours to meet with you, where you can meet me as well. Best of all, you can drop in at any time to our offices. When you're on campus, you'll see the administration building, and we're just on the first floor. So you can just step in and check in with us. So that was just the overview of what you can expect at Ashoka in terms of what our education is all about and what our programs are all about. Now I'm going to discuss in some briefly an introduction to our programs. And you would be familiar with this, that Ashoka follows an academic credit system. So every academic course you complete typically earns 4 credits. There are occasionally some 2-credit classes. Credits refer to the number of hours of contact time. Co-curricular courses are worth 2 credits, and they are in the realm of theater, music, dance, languages. And all of this is very important. Why is that? Because your undergraduate degree requires a minimum of 100 credits for pure majors and 116 credits for interdisciplinary majors. Now, of these, 4 credits must come from co-curricular courses, which means 2 of them. You can do more co-curriculars if you choose to, but they will not count towards your degree. 9 foundation courses, which account for 36 credits in all, are mandatory. And the remaining credits are to be distributed over your majors, minors, concentrations, and others. Now, credit requirements for majors, it varies by discipline. Most disciplines in Ashoka require 48 credits or 12 courses. But there are a few, like economics, physics, computer science, which require 60 credits or 15 courses. For minors, you need 6 courses or 24 credits, and concentrations requires a concentration in a particular discipline requires 4 courses or 16 credits. So in order to graduate, what do you need to do? And this is the big picture. You need to complete the requirements of a major. You need to finish all the 9 foundation courses. And there's a special one there called the Introduction to Critical Thinking there. That's part of the 9. You need to complete these two co-curricular courses. And you need to have a CGPA average, your minimum, at least your CGPA should not be less than 1.67. Everything else is optional. For instance, minors, concentrations are all optional. You could do a lot of courses without declaring a minor or a concentration. Now, one thing about the FCs, because that's what the foundation courses, which we call FCs, this is what you'll be doing in your first term. Most of your courses will be of that kind. They do not count towards your major, minor, or concentration. They're just a separate category by themselves. As I've said, they're introduction to different styles of thinking. They also provide you breadth because they span literature, philosophy, science, social sciences, and so on. And you will get some connections across disciplines. Now, these could also inform your choice of major. For instance, you may have come into this course, into this program, thinking that you want to major in X, but by doing your foundations courses, you may think, no, actually, Y is what I find more interesting. So it's also, you should also be open-minded and think about these as ways in which you are informing yourself of what you may like best. Foundation courses are offered in every term, monsoon, spring, and summer. And of them, one of them is Introduction to Critical Thinking. This you will complete either in the monsoon of your first year or the spring of your first year. So, so you cannot schedule it beyond that. Hanini will talk more about that. On majors, they are your requirements are there's a certain amount of credits you have to complete, but they're not just in terms of that. Majors will often specify that there are some courses or a combination of them that are mandatory. And these requirements vary from discipline to discipline. So every discipline sets its own major requirements in terms of what courses are mandatory, what's not, and what combination is acceptable, and so on. And the important thing is that also for you to realize, this is really important, is that all major courses are not offered every term. So that means that you must sequence your program in a careful way. You must plan it out. For instance, I know economics because I I teach in that department. If you wish to major in economics, then it's essential, and if you know that, then it's essential that you have to do your mandatory 1000 level courses in the second term, if you are to finish in 3 years. If you do it, postpone it to your second year, you will finish your economics degree in 4 years. Now, other disciplines may have a similar structure, such as computer science or physics. So what this means is that in your second term, you have to plan out what you want to do. And so it will be natural, for instance, in your second term, you're allowed 5 courses, that you may not choose to do foundation courses for all 5. You will say, okay, I need to start on the majors. Maybe these are the 2 of my possible majors. So I will, let me see what courses I have to do there, and the remainder you may do your FCs. So this is the kind of planning you have to do. So it's important for you to check out your department web pages. Every department has a student rep, sometimes more than 1 student reps. You should talk to them. You should speak to your department heads. You should attend the academic expos that happen next week, where you see department by department, there'll be academic expos. These will happen again towards sometime towards the end of the first term. So you get an idea of each department's structure and programs. So, so these are, and of course, you will be interacting with your peer group and seniors and so on. So you will receive information from multiple sources. One important consideration of students also is about multiple majors and minors. Of course, you can do more than 1 minor consideration, although you have to factor in time. In principle, if you take the maximum load possible every term, you can achieve 124 academic credits in 3 years. So you can choose to do, remember 100 was the minimum for pure major. So you can choose to do more than 100. For instance, a minor requires always 24 credits. FC requires 36 credits. A co-curricular course will mean 4 credits, so that amounts to 112 credits. So that would be where you're combining a major with a minor. Now, double majors are not granted in the UG program as yet. This is because of some UGC regulations. So to do a double major, in fact, you will run, as of now, you will also run out of time. So to do a double major, you have to stay for the 4th year and do it in the 4th year. So all this may sound a little mind-boggling. Yeah, it is. At the first time you see it, it is. And that's the price of flexibility, because there is lots of options. It's like going to a restaurant and you have a very large menu, and you can there is and that's what you have. But while it's complex, I can assure you, you will internalize it in no time. And some of you may already have done that research and talked to your senior students, and you will internalize in no time. In my experience, students within the first month, they have figured it out, and so will you. And so all that I'm saying is that there is a period of active exploration, planning, and where you'll keep track. You will visit the academic expo, which happens next week, part of your orientation campus, where you will meet with different departments. You will, of course, talk to your peers, seniors, juniors, and talk to us. We will also be there. So you have many sources of information, and you will not be in the dark, provided you make the effort to. So I said mind-boggling complicated, but wait a minute, there is more. There are more choices to think about. You can add drop courses. You can withdraw from classes, you can audit classes, you can convert credit to audit, you can convert the letter grade evaluation to pass-fail. So there are a number of things that you, during the orientation, the Office of Student Affairs will give you the UG handbook, which has details of all these academic policies. And we also have a web portal, my.ashoka.edu, where all these policies are displayed, or you can find them there. So there is there are all these things where you will get to learn about these policies. So what's your responsibility? I think I want to just say briefly about that. One thing I've already mentioned, it is your responsibility to stay informed and reach out to the right people at all times. So there are lots of deadlines. As you can see, while we want to give you a lot of choices and stuff like that, we are administering all those choices within a structure. And so there will be deadlines. There'll be when you're doing a course, there'll be deadlines for exams, take homes, and so on, quizzes. It's for you to stay informed about them. There'll be OA deadlines coming from us, okay, about registration, pre-registration, when you can add courses, when you can drop them, and so on and so forth. You have to, it's your job to be informed. Of course, all this material will be made available to you. And there are mandatory requirements, program requirements, major and minor requirements. So so all of these things are things that you have to stay informed about. How do you stay informed about? You have to read course material. There'll be program handbooks. Every department puts out a handbook. And very important is that you have to read the emails that come from us. It's very basic, but you'll be surprised how some students neglect that. And then they are in trouble. And you can't help them then because the deadlines have all gone. So it's your responsibility as a student to be informed. You have to read our emails, you have to read relevant web pages and so on. And you have to reach out to instructors for course information when you have questions about that. You have to reach out to department heads when you don't understand some program requirements. And you have to reach out to us when you don't understand the university-wide requirement deadline. And you have to do that well in time. Sometimes we get requests at 3 in the morning, and then we are asked by 8 in the morning, we are sent a reminder. Why can you do this for us? We can't, but it's still 7 in the morning. And so you should think about, you should plan ahead. Remember, there are humans on the other side. They will also need some time to react, to read, to understand, and address the issue that you have. So deadlines and requirements are really not negotiable. So that's something, so you have to plan that well in advance. We want you to succeed, and we will do everything in our power to make that happen, but you also have to help yourself. This is a very important thing about academic integrity. You have to use fair means at all times in your evaluations. And that's expected at all times. And these rules don't change just because you're in college or if it's online. There are no excuses for plagiarism. And Ashoka takes this very seriously. I want to emphasize that violating academic integrity is a serious offense. It could become part of your permanent file, and some instructors may award an F for the first offense and for even a small offense. And we will abide by as long as you have been told about it. So we are here, disciplinary action is severe, and this is something our university has to live by its standards, so we cannot compromise here. So again, these details about we have a mandatory academic plagiarism workshop for you in the first term, so that you are well informed about it, and we will be reaching out to you about these things. Finally, I want to say, university education is really adult education. You're all adults or soon to be, and we will treat you as such. And so one thing different from school is that you really need to take responsibility for your own learning. Your peers are not your competitors. They are your future colleagues, collaborators, and they are an amazing resource. So teamwork is important. This is your university, and your teaching assistants, teaching fellows, faculty members, staff. We are all to help you. We are a resource for you, but you have to reach out to them. So these are the, I spoke about staying informed, reaching out. That's part of being an adult. Okay, and treating you as such. If you have an issue, you must get in touch with us. But it's your responsibility as an adult to be informed about all the relevant policies and deadlines. And we do expect you to write polite emails, address your peers, staff members, and faculty with the respect you would like to be extended yourself to you. So we have to function on that basis. So my final tip is, please read the UG handbook. Keep it by your bedside, at least, for the first few weeks. To have that knowledge is really to empower yourself, and don't deny yourself opportunities just because you're not informed. So that's it. Welcome and best wishes. And one part of me is actually envious of your journey. It's an exciting time to be joining Ashoka, and certainly I didn't have the same opportunities to be part of such a flexible curriculum that emphasizes critical thinking and reasoning. So I wish you the very best, and I hope that your academic journey will meet with your expectations, and we are here to assist you in every possible way. Thank you. Harini, I will stop here for the time being. I'll stop my screen share.
Okay. Thank you. And yeah, once again, to all those who joined late, we're really, really excited to have you join virtually today, and are really excited that you'll be on campus really soon. You'll find that the Office of Academic Affairs will in many ways be there, very central to your journey, your academic journey through Ashoka. And we hope you get the full benefit of being at a liberal arts institution. Dean Bharat Ramaswamy talked about, in some ways, this kind of education opportunity being like a restaurant with this very large menu. Very exciting, lots of things to choose from, but you know that there are always constraints. You might not like everything that's on the menu. There might be health issues, price issues, and it's nice to have somebody guiding you through that process. So that's what we are here for. I see that there are several questions. What we're going to do is keep all the questions to the end and then we'll try and answer all of them. If we miss any questions, what we'll do is we'll record the responses and share it with you. This whole session is going to be recorded as well and shared, and we'll make sure that you have all your answers. So, another thing that Dean Ramaswamy referred to was that, we're there to help, we're there to guide, support in whatever way we can, but you have to reach out to us. Sometimes you need support of some kind, and we won't know until you reach out to us. So please do that. The OAA has different ways in which you can reach out to us. Once you get access to the academic management system, the online system, which you'll learn about tomorrow in tomorrow's session, you'll know of all the different ways that you can reach out to the OA as well. You can raise a query. We have a ticket system. You can book an appointment to chat with us, and most of all, you can just drop into our office anytime at all, and one of us will be there during office hours. If not, we'll try and reach you in some way. So I wanted to also start by quickly introducing you to the OA team, and people are often surprised by how few people there are and how much work they get done. Pritika Sharma, a senior manager, has the longest experience in the department, and chances are there isn't a question related to your degree progression that she won't be able to answer. Shantanu Kundu, who handles, he strides both the Office of Examinations and helps us out at the OA. So there are a lot of areas, especially about infrastructure, that Shantanu has at his fingertips. Pragya Kumari, Janvi Tripathi, Surinder Kumar, we're all here for you. And I'm Harini, for those of you who didn't meet me yet. I'm the director of the Office of Academic Affairs. And we're all here to support you the entire time. But like I said, you have to reach out to us. There are other resources at Ashoka too, which you might have already heard about. But even if you come to us, we might suggest that you meet the Office of Learning Support, the Ashoka Center for Wellbeing, the Center for Writing and Communication, for different kinds of resources that you might need while you are here. You will also each be assigned a mentor, a faculty mentor, fairly quickly, somebody that you could chat with about your course decisions and your academic trajectory. And then once you decide on a major, you'll have an advisor from within the major subject. So there are all these resources. There's the student government body, the Ministry of Academic Affairs. They will have a help desk right through your initial period, and we'll be there as well to answer all your questions. So don't worry about it. You don't have to sort of absorb every little detail today and remember it forever. There are different ways in which you can draw upon these resources as you go along. I'm just going to very quickly um, maybe expand a little bit on some of the areas that Dean Ramaswamy talked about. You got the big picture, all the exciting possibilities there were, all the courses you could take, the different major options, minor options, concentrations, and also a little bit of heads up about the fact that all responsibilities, all choices, all freedom comes with some responsibility. Yeah, so a little bit more, just a little bit, a flavor for what your academic trajectory might look like. And we'll talk more about this tomorrow as well. And we'll be there at our help desk right through your initial days on campus. So as Dean Ramaswamy said, depending on whether you choose to do a pure major or an interdisciplinary major, you will have to do complete either 100 course credits or 116. And each course typically has 4 credits, some have 2, and this relates to the number of contact hours you have with your faculty uh, member or the teaching fellow or interaction uh, during office hours. So to graduate, you need to fulfill whatever number of credits your chosen major requires. You will, of course, also have to take some mandatory courses, and then you have some electives. You have to clear the foundation courses, 2 co-curricular courses. If you're required to do English communication, you will need to do that, and you will have to maintain a minimum grade point average, which is calculated from the grades that you receive for every course. What's a pure major? What's an interdisciplinary major? You'll find all of this information on the Ashoka website. And of course, once you have access to the AMS, our online access site, you'll learn more. But just for a flavor, this is what you'll need to do in your time at Ashoka. And these are the pure majors. And depending on the subject, you will get either a BSc honors or a BA honors, a BSc biology honors, a philosophy BA honors, for instance. If you choose an interdisciplinary major, there are many exciting combinations: politics, philosophy, and economics, English and creative writing, computer science and ENT entrepreneurship, English and performing arts, English and media studies. So these are many exciting options that you can choose from. And again, as Dean Ramaswamy said, we encourage you to make this decision by the end of your 3rd semester here, but it's not, you can change it as you go through the program. However, if you change very late, then there might be very many more courses you need to take and you can't graduate on time. You'll have to stay on an extra year, for instance. Apart from this, as you know, you can do a whole range of very interesting minors or concentrations. And the minors and the concentrations, the beauty also is that if at the end of your program you don't complete enough to get the minor or the concentration, you will still have those courses on your transcript and they'll count towards your final GPA, your cumulative grade point average. Even more exciting, we already talked to some students about this, are the independent study modules, which you cannot do in your 1st semester. You need to find your way around, meet faculty, understand departments, decide what you want to do in ISM in. But you can either by yourself or together with other students independently design a research project, which is really exciting. And you need to find a faculty mentor who is able to mentor you through that process. And you can get a grade at the end of the semester for this study module that you designed yourself. That's pretty unique. So what does your typical semester look like? As you can see, it's graded. Your 1st semester, we limit the number of credits you can take. And we also, guide you towards what you can take. There is some choice, but it's limited within foundation courses. You have to take foundation courses. You can take a co-curricular course if you like. The 2nd year, you have far more flexibility. From the 2nd semester onwards, you have far more flexibility. You can increase the number of course credits you have, and you can also start choosing what you want to study, provided you keep track of the fact that you fulfill minimum requirements to graduate. And, depending on your major, once you have an idea what you want to do, you also want to keep track of the rate at which you're completing necessary courses. As you get towards the 3rd year, you can do even more courses. You can do up to 26 credits. Also, by your 3rd year, if you feel that you only need 3 courses to graduate, 12 credits to graduate, and you don't want to do anymore because you're doing other things on campus that are meaningful to you, you could get permission to do that as well. You could, of course, stay on for the 4th year and get additional credentials. We'll talk more about that later, but yes, you can develop on a minor that you did, a major that you did in your undergraduate program. You can choose an advanced major, you can choose a capstone project. Again, there's a whole range of very exciting options available in the 4th year. So what is your first semester? What's it going to look like? You will have to do the foundation courses, you'll have to do English communication. Depending on what major you think you'd like to do, you might have to do calculus, and you could do a co-curricular course. Can you take more than that? No. And can you take a major course in the first semester? Again, no. And these are the limitations we talked about. There's a reason for that. We'll get to that in a minute. Before that, I want to give you a flavor for what are the foundation courses that you'll be doing. Again, spanning the whole range of learning, because the whole point of the foundation courses is that you get exposed, you get some understanding of subjects across the board before you make your choices. And then you can make informed choices about your major. I mentioned calculus earlier. Depending on which major you want to pursue, and given that you've done maths in classes 11 and 12, we would strongly advise you to choose calculus, and we can talk about this more tomorrow in our more detailed meeting. If you later find that it's too tough, actually you're not going to do a major where calculus is not important, yes, you'll have a period of time to drop it, but again, think very carefully before you drop calculus based on what choices you're going to make for your major later. Coming back to something else I referred to earlier, which was, why do we limit the number of credits that you will be doing in your first semester? At first glance, it might not look like a lot to some people, 4 courses, 2 lecture sessions a week each. I have so much time. Why can't I do more courses? Depending on what educational system you came from or what your experience has been so far, you might find, that your time is very full and you're doing a lot more than you expected to do. Because you will have lecture sessions where you listen to the professor, but lecture sessions as well expect you to have done readings, expect you to have come prepared, follow the Socratic method, as in, have a lively discussion, ask questions, respond. And then you have discussion sessions, which are smaller group sessions led by a teaching fellow. Again, more intensive discussion. So you might find that actually work for each course is taking much longer and more intensive attention than you initially expected. You have to do your readings, depending on how the faculty designs the course, there may be small or large assignments, small or big exams. In upper level courses in higher years, typically a lot of independently researched papers that you will have to write, for which you will need, a lot of references. And as Dean Bharat Ramaswamy mentioned, be very, very careful about complete and proper citations and references. So these papers are going to take time to work on as well. So what we'd like is for you to start by absorbing the system, understanding it, looking around, and also making friends, learning all the other things that are fun, right, about being on campus now that we're all back on campus after COVID. Find your way around, see what else you can do. We want you to enjoy that as well and have adequate time to work on all your courses. So, there are all these choices that you can take, all these different resources that you can have. We also have a lot of other ways in which you can help yourself if you find that you've actually taken on more than you expected to, or you uh, thought you would do really well in something, but after a week or two, it's not really what you wanted to do. Or you have a full course load, let us say in semester 3 or 4, and but you still, there's this extra course that you always wanted to take, and it's never going to fit into your academic planning, or you want to show on your final transcript that you've attended this course. You can audit it, where you get permission from the professor to attend all the classes, maybe do some of the coursework as decided by the professor, but you don't get a grade for it. So you have that flexibility. You could choose to do a course pass fail. You have to make that decision wisely, because you might find that you actually did really well later in the semester and you'd have liked a grade, but the deadline for changing from pass fail is gone, so you can't do that anymore. You have a period of time where you can change the courses that you're doing, not in the first semester, but thereafter. You will have a period of time when you can drop courses, provided you don't go below the minimum credit limit. And again, if you are just unable to complete all the requirements for a course by the end of the semester, you have, again, with the agreement of the professor, the option of taking an incomplete. So there's a lot of safety valves, shall I say, a lot of ways in which you can mediate any issues you have. And there are just a whole range of options. Um, Again, because there's so much flexibility, one cannot forget that faculty also require attendance in classes. Usually, you can request 3 excused absences, and beyond that, it's really up to the professor's discretion. If you are in competitive sport or anything else that takes you outside of campus, you still need to fit that within your available excused absences. And then finally, if at some point in the semester you find that you just can't handle the semester for whatever reason, you need a break, we have the option to let you take a leave of absence as well for a semester. There may be fee implications, which you could discuss it whenever and if you need that, but that option is also available. It will obviously delay your graduation, and there are limits how many years you have to finish your undergraduate program within a maximum of 5 years, and so on. But given that, you do have that option as well if things are getting really tough for you. So I'm going to stop now to give you time to ask questions and have my colleagues respond to them. Welcome to Ashoka. As we said, our office is on the first floor of the very first building as you enter campus. Not the first building from the gate, but the main part of the campus. And we're there to help you and support you in every way we can. Thank you. I'm going to stop the share. Pritika, shall we go down the questions from the first one?
Sure, we can do that. So I request if you have any question, just raise your hand and we can enable you to speak.
There's quite a lot in the chat box already, so I don't know, maybe we should start with those. Some got responded to, but there are several that are open.
If I may, just looking at the general tenor of remarks, one thing that I want to, which was not there in my presentation, but I think another principle of Ashoka is that in Ashoka, it's the faculty to decide on what is to be taught, how it is to be taught, and how it is to be graded. So the university or the OA will not be telling them these things. They will be setting out the policies for the courses they teach. So there was some question about grading. The thing is that grading policies are determined by individual faculty. Okay, so this is something that just as individual faculty decide whether you're going to be assessed on the basis of a written exam, a take-home exam, a quiz, a term paper, a project presentation. There are many modes of assessment, but it's the individual faculty who are teaching a course who will decide on these things, and they will announce this to you at the beginning of the term. Okay, they will announce this to you, and they'll announce their policies in this regard. So there are no university-wide policies here. There are faculty-specific policies, because there were some questions regarding that. So.
Right.
The UG handbook you'll get when you come to the orientation next week.
Right. Yeah, that's a really important
I
Sorry, go ahead, Pritika.
Yeah, I just want to. So I was going through the chat question and answers, and I found a lot of students are writing about double major. So as Dean already informed you that we don't offer double major. There's nothing called double major in Ashoka during your UG program. You can do a second major equivalent in your ASP program, but for that you have to enroll in the ASP, that is in the 4th year. And you can convert a minor or a concentration into a second major equivalent. So we don't offer double major. And this, how you can do this, what are the things you have to keep in mind, this you will learn as in when you start taking the classes and you attend the academic expo for which you will receive a schedule from our department. And all these things, the department, how about major, concentration, advanced major, second major, it will all be clarified during the academic expo. So don't forget to attend the academic expo. Do attend the academic expo scheduled on 5th, 6th, and 7th, and explore all the opportunities that Ashoka provides.
Right. To clarify a little bit more, each department will have a room in which faculty will be present and will talk about what their major offers during the academic expo. So you can look at the options and attend whichever you choose. There will be also a session that those who coordinate the co-curriculars, the Center for Writing and Communication, the Introduction to Critical Thinking, they will be there to talk about what they do as well. So do make sure that you attend all the sessions that you need to attend.
Yeah, I would add my voice to that. There are a lot of questions about, what happens besides these, about combining majors, minors, and about the writing thesis. So all of these, please reserve it for the academic expo. I think what you will be doing in your first term are foundation courses, maybe the calculus enabler and the ICT. So I want to say that on the FC's foundation courses, Director Harini has already said that you have to do 9 of them, but there's no timeline for it. You may do as many as 4 or 3 in the first term, and then you add them to your list of courses that you do, depending on combining it with majors. And so, but Harini, I was wondering whether, on Pritika, whether you can inform the students here about more about what will happen tomorrow, because they have to decide on their courses, the foundation courses, the calculus enabler course, and whether they're going to do an ICT or not. So many questions are of that nature. Perhaps you could take a couple of minutes to tell them why it's how those questions will be answered tomorrow and why it's important to attend tomorrow's session.
Right. Yeah, so a lot of the questions, anything that relates to your foundation courses and the calculus enabler, everything that you need to do in the first semester, we have a separate session for that tomorrow because I think we need to expand on it. We'll first go through how to navigate the AMS, Academic Management System, often lovingly known as the Ashoka Management System. We'll help you navigate that, what to find where, and then also talk in some detail about what you will be doing in the first semester and how you need to make your choices. So tomorrow's session is really, really important to attend because a lot of the detail that you will get tomorrow, you'll miss if you can't attend. Yeah, sorry, Pritika, you want to add to that?
No, ma'am. Yeah, you've added that. We'll also show them how to fill their FC preference choices and what all things needs to be kept in mind while filling the preferences.
Right.
Yeah, and I guess you will also let them know tomorrow what majors do require calculus enablers and so on.
Yeah, and then there was, there are specific questions. I'm very impressed about it. So that means that you've absorbed a lot of what has been said very closely. Can you audit classes after choosing them? There's a time limit before which you need to change back and forth, and after that you can't change audit or pass fail. All of these policies will be made available to you. It is indeed possible to do both an interdisciplinary major and a minor within 3 years. To emphasize, we do not currently have a double major, as in you cannot put together your own choice of two majors. For a double major, you can choose one of the interdisciplinary majors that we offer, and you need 116 credits for that. Anybody else from the OA wants to jump in and answer any of the questions that you haven't yet typed responses to? We have a little more time, but I would say let's take the questions that are, broader in scope, and then we'll respond to all the others as well. Some of them are going to be answered tomorrow. Co-curriculars, only 2 will count, though you can take more. The others will not be counted. Yes, you can take a minor with anything at all. There's no limit to how many FCs you can take. You do need to complete them all before you graduate. We have had the odd student who realizes in their final semester that they needed an FC. And this reminds me of something else that is possible to do at Ashoka, because there was a student who studied abroad in their final semester and then had to come back to do an FC the following semester. So you can do that as well. We have a range of very exciting collaborations. There's a different department, the study abroad, a GSP department that handles that, but you will be able to spend a semester or two at a reputed international university and have a lot of what you study there count for Ashoka credits as well. How many courses at one point of time? We've responded to that in terms of how many credits you can cover. in any given semester. You know, how many people get which course in the first semester depends a lot on availability of professors, seats, and number of students.
I think I see a lot of questions on the calculus enabler. I just want to clarify, this is separate from the foundation courses. So if you can opt for it, in which case you will do, for instance, if you're doing, instead of doing 4 foundation courses, then you may do 3 in the monsoon and take the calculus enabler. Secondly, Ritika, I think I'm right? The calculus enabler is also offered in spring.
Correct.
Yeah. So it is offered in spring, but of course, you know, if you are inclined towards quantitative disciplines, then you may be better off taking it in monsoon.
Yeah, absolutely. I just responded to a question about students from different academic systems who are faced with having to write papers. Yes, you will get a lot of support from that. For that, apart from the ICT, the Center for Writing Communication offers support, different, helps you with structuring your essays and so forth.
There are, Pritika Harini, you might want to answer these questions about, or tomorrow, what disciplines require a calculus enabler or recommend a calculus enabler?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, tomorrow maybe we could give a list, a rough list, because the departments decide that.
Yeah. That will help them make their choices for the calculus enabler.
So the something that may be a little bit confusing as well is who does what from Ashoka. There have been several questions about the orientation session next week. So the orientation sessions now are being conducted by admissions and then by the Office of Student Affairs. So any questions you have that don't relate to these 2 sessions, today and tomorrow, that the Office of Academic Affairs is conducting, please reach out to whoever you got the email from about other sessions.
I think it will be the Office of Student Affairs.
Now it's Office of Student Affairs.
It will be the Office of Student Affairs. They so whether it's the session on 4th and other sessions next week, and there are also questions about moving into campus and stuff like that. You should ask the Office of Student Affairs.
Yeah. And you would have got an email about when you can move.
Yeah.
Sorry, Bharat. Go ahead.
No, there's a question also. There are a lot of questions about what, for instance, there's a question about what courses will be offered in spring and so on. My point is that, please now think about what you'll do in the monsoon term, this term that is starting next week, because there the choices are very simple. You have to choose among some foundation courses. You have to choose whether you want to do the calculus enabler and so on. The ICT will be allocated to you, okay, as will be explained to you. So you don't have, now about what happens later, you don't have to decide it right now. Next week, you will be on campus, you will attend the academic expo, you will see the handbooks for every department, which will tell you what courses are going to be offered, in what term, and so on and so forth. So you will have plenty of time to make up your mind about what you want to do in in terms that come later. So let's try and keep things simple at this point. Okay, let's think about what is to be done for the monsoon semester, and we have given you the broad program structure. Next week, when you go to the academic expo, you will see the different disciplines, and there are questions about biology and chemistry or about PPE. You will get all that information there, and that information, and I can assure you that it will take more than one interaction for you to absorb everything. So let's don't worry if you find it a little complicated at this moment. Actually, it is, as I said, you will begin to follow this in no time, and it's just be a little patient. But within 2-3 weeks, and especially once you're on campus, you will figure it out. The important thing is what you're going to be doing in the monsoon term. And that's what the session tomorrow. There's a question about what time is the session tomorrow?
Right.
It's at 11:30.
Oh, the tomorrow's session, 11:30.
Yeah. We have sent the email. We'll again send a follow-up email tomorrow in the morning. Pragya, you want to add something?
There's a very small thing which I want to say to all the participant students. So we are interacting with you most of the time on emails. And I just request all the students to please read the emails, because if you don't read them, you don't understand what you're communicating. As of now that you asked the timing, we have already communicated it, but still we are requesting you, whatever emails we are communicating, students, we request you to read it, follow it, and then respond to it. That is the only small request I have as a OA team member. Thank you.
I'm sorry, I'm seeing a few messages saying that I wasn't entirely audible. I didn't realize that. Hopefully, some of the things that I said will be there in the recording and available.
Yeah, we'll share recording with all the students by evening today only.
And is there a way for us to preserve all the questions so that we can respond to the ones that we haven't been able to respond? Copy them or something.
There is a question also about when will Ashoka have a NAC accreditation? Well, I can't give you a definite answer, but it's ongoing, that process. So it's already started, it's ongoing, and I expect it to happen by sometime the next year. But these are how much time the regulatory agency takes to issue, complete its processes is hard to predict. And so I will not be able to say anything definite there.
There's a question, elaborate on discussion sessions. You usually do this with a teaching fellow who works with the faculty person. And these are smaller group sessions usually where there is more, and they are more interactive.
Yes, think of them as tutorials. So you have lecture sessions and you have tutorials.
Right.
And that's what they are. These are also, it's also explained in the UG handbook that you'll get when you come to campus next week.
Yeah, you don't have to print out the UG handbook. Anyway, you'll soon have online access to it as well. Questions about holidays, the academic calendar is up on the Ashoka website. You should be able to find it there.
Some people say they haven't received the mail for tomorrow's session. So
Right.
anyway, it will be recent. There was I saw a question about, there was this about semester abroad. Does it affect credits? Are they transferable? Yes, they are. They are transferable. So they will count towards your degree, but there's a process by which they're transferable. So you have to follow the process, and once the department approves those courses, you will get the credits. Yeah.
Any other specific courses that, questions that we could respond to now? Yeah, don't worry. Those who are feeling a little bit overwhelmed, maybe by all the information being too complex, as we said, there'll be multiple occasions for you to clarify all your doubts and get reinforcement for anything that is confusing. There is tomorrow's session. We'll have help desks. We have a follow-up session late next week that you'll hear about to discuss the foundation courses further. So hopefully by the end of it, all your questions will be answered.
We will also let you know, there are some questions about people wondering whether, calculus and in the calculus enabler course, whether they do need a minimum to qualify for some programs. As far as I know, there is no minimum. You have to pass the calculus enabler course for some programs. However, if you have not done mathematics in class 11 and 12, and if you still wish to do a subject like economics, then there is a minimum. These policies will be shared with you. There is, you need a minimum grade if you have not done mathematics in class 11 and 12. About plagiarism workshop will be offered during the first term, and you will be emails will be sent out to you, and you will have to attend them. If you do not attend them, then your registration for the second term may be delayed, or your pre-registration may be delayed. Will we be able to interact with the professors before putting in our preference for courses? Well, that's not possible for your monsoon courses for the first time. But I just want to draw your attention to the fact that all the foundation courses, their course descriptions are all available on the Ashoka website, all the different sections. So you should take a look at it before you put in your preferences. So in tomorrow's session, maybe you can give them a link for it, although it's easy to find. You could, and so you will, it provides information about the foundation courses offered in monsoon as well as in spring. I think we are.
Yeah, we're at the limit. There's just one question that there may have been confusion from the PowerPoint. There's a question, can we minor in courses apart from those listed in the PPT? Yes, you can minor in all the major courses. These are courses, these are departments that don't have majors. So these are additional to the majors. You can major in all, you can minor in all the major departments as well as in these minor departments. Yeah, I don't know if Sandeep is here. Is it possible to download, preserve the questions? But other than that, we are at the end
No,
of our
he's
time.
there. I've shared a doc file where I'm copying and pasting the questions.
Okay.
So maybe we can just copy and paste them.
Okay. So we can get to the questions that we didn't answer right now after the meeting. So I think we should end the session because there will be other sessions that follow after us.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone. Yeah, thank you for joining us today. And if any of it was overwhelming, not completely audible, hopefully the recording will help, and hopefully we'll be able to reinforce everything in our later and future sessions. And yeah, we're excited to see you all on campus very soon. Welcome.
And see you tomorrow.
And see you tomorrow. Bye. I'm going to end the session now.